Hi guys, I'm Claire.
And I'm Matthew.
And we're here today with our production assistant, Ollie. He'll probably be in and out of this video. But we are going to talk to you today about what we're hoping to grow in our garden in 2019. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about was a big thing with renters. Unless you're a long-term renter and you know you're going to be in a place unchanging for a long period of time, most people will not do perennials. So aside from just, kind of common sense in my mind, not planting fruit trees and not planting berry bushes, because chances are you're not going to be able to harvest anything from them or enjoy them. But even on to things like asparagus, that you plant the rhizome and you harvest from it and the rhizome cake stays in the ground, we're not going to be doing any of that, even though I would love to have fruit trees and I would love to have asparagus. It's just not in the cards for us right now in this property. So that might be a little bit different from a lot of you, but it's not the case for us right now. The first thing that we're going to talk about is what we already have in the ground. We're trying something new this year where in the fall, we made a bed and planted our potatoes and our onions in it. I would like one other potato variety. I would love to do the Adirondack Blue again this year if we can, but we have just regular, I think they're just russet potatoes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're russet potatoes.
And we have red onions and yellow onions. And we're going to see if those come up and if that's going to be a good planting method for us. If not, we'll replant it and move on. But that's what we've already got in the ground. The next thing that I wanted to talk about is what we already have seeds for. So Matthew is going to read off and show you what we already have on hand.
So first up, we do have some carrots that we're going to be doing, and these are the Danvers variety. We have these up here. Most of these we have just one seed packet of each, so we'll be trying a little bit of each. The next thing that we have is radishes. We have radish seeds of the flamboyant variety. And then we have some spinach of the Galilee variety. We have a couple of packs of black beans because we want to try and use a lot of these this season.
I'm hoping to have enough to dry and put up, and that would be our first big long-term harvest toward self-sufficiency.
The next thing that we have up is another bean that is the Zuni Gold variety.
I'm pretty excited to try those. I don't know if I'll like them or not.
They do look very interesting and they have a good description of having a nutty flavor for a bean. So next up we have some onions, and this was the white Creole version.
I've never had good luck growing onions from seed, but I'm going to try planting those pretty soon here in the next couple of weeks. To see if I can actually grow them from seed, being up here in the north now.
The next thing we have up are a couple of different kinds of squash, and this was the musky variety.
Let me see. Let's see, this Musky de Provence. It's a type of pumpkin. I'm really excited about it. It's my favorite pumpkin for making pies out of.
The other variety of squash that we have is squash solor.
Solar squash?
No, that's a lot more.
We'll see.
And then last but not least, we've got some corn, and this is the, which one was that? The Indian corn that we have.
Yeah, giant Indian corn. I don't know if I'll go ahead and plant that this year or not, because we are in an agricultural area and we are surrounded by fields. And we did soybeans last year, which means that we'll probably do corn this year. And I'm concerned, we do get a lot of overspray in our yard already. And if our farmers around here, like many of them in the Midwest do, if they're using Roundup Ready crops, and especially Roundup Ready corn, it will probably kill our Indian corn, and I don't want that to happen. So unless I can do some research and figure out a way to keep that under control, we may hold off on doing that until the 2020 season. The next thing I want to talk about is my plant wish list, because obviously there are some pretty staple plants that most people who garden like to have that we don't have in our seed packet collection right now. All of these are Baker Creek varieties, and we picked these up at the Homesteaders of America conference in Front Royal, Virginia this past October, so we were really grateful to receive those. These that are on my wish list are also Baker Creek varieties. Some of them are just kind of general varieties that you can get anywhere, but I will probably order all of these from Baker Creek. So the first thing up is a grain similar to corn or barley, but it's called Job's Tears, and it is an Asian grain. It grows on stalks. The leaves and everything look like corn or Johnson grass, but it can be used for a lot of different things. I'm looking forward to seeing if we can grow it, but it is a tropical plant, and we do live in northwestern Indiana, so I don't know if it will grow well here. I might hold off on that as well, along with the corn, until after the corn phase has gone through here. I haven't decided yet. The next thing is arugula. So we've got some Galilee spinach in our packets here, and I want to grow just some regular old arugula, because spinach and arugula are the greens that we will eat most frequently. Then also some Georgia Southern collard greens. I love collard greens. I also love cabbage for my roughage, but somebody doesn't like cabbage.
Not nearly as much as she does.
Right, I love cabbage in all forms, but we're not going to grow cabbages here probably, but I am going to grow collard greens. I have had good success growing those, even in containers and in a vertical structure. If you'd like to know more about that, let me know. But yes, Georgia Southern. And then I'm going to try and limit myself, if I can, to 3 tomato varieties. So I have Black Beauty on my list. If you haven't seen those, they are absolutely gorgeous, and they've got a lot of the good anthocyanin in them for your good antioxidants. So hopefully we'll get some that are really nice and dark. Somebody also wanted a normal tomato, and I was like, what? He wanted like a beefsteak tomato, and I was like, well, that covers like a lot of different types of tomatoes. Like it's not just a beefsteak tomato necessarily. You can kind of find them, but So he wanted what we usually put on sandwiches, and when we buy store-bought tomatoes, I usually buy Roma tomatoes for sandwiches because they have a stronger tomato flavor, and your large slicer sandwich tomatoes in stores are just watery nonsense. So we settled on Romas because he wanted something that looked familiar, so we'll be doing some Romas. And then I wanted to try the Blueberries tomato. It's smaller than a cherry tomato, and it's supposed to be like sugary sweet. And they're little itty bitty, they are like blueberry sized, and they do get really dark, again with that anthocyanin in it. They look like tiny little blueberries, and I would love to use those for salad tomatoes. Always gotta grow okra. I've never had a problem growing okra, and I always grow Clemson spineless. I found that it doesn't make me nearly as itchy, and I also like that it doesn't get super tall, because I'm not just particularly tall, and some of those okra plants, they get on up there. We're gonna grow probably 2 varieties of peppers. We'll probably just pick up a run-of-the-mill bell pepper, see if we can find anything that will do well up here, up north. And then I'm also gonna throw my hat in the ring with some poblano peppers and see if we can get some of those going. Those are my two favorites. And then to round it out, I want to do some more squashes and gourds. I love squashes. Somebody will tolerate squashes sometimes when I hide them in things. So another big staple is just a Black Beauty zucchini. I know there are a lot of gorgeous varieties out there, but I have had excellent luck with Black Beauty zucchini up here. They are really prolific, but in this area I've had a lot of trouble getting them to pollinate, so I usually pollinate by hand. That might help with it being so prolific for me, but if you have any questions about hand pollination, make sure you let me know, and I'll do a video on that when we have some. I also want to do just some standard straight neck yellow squash. That and the Black Beauty zucchini have always been staples in my garden. I also want to do some buttercup squash. I love butternut squash, and I've been told that if you like butternut squash, buttercup squash can be even better. They look a little bit weird, but I am definitely willing to try it. I was looking more for a patty pan variety, but I don't think they're going to be big enough, and the scalloped edges, I don't know if I want to deal with it. So I'm going to try the buttercup squash this year. And then lastly, a really cool thing that I'm looking forward to growing this year are loofah gourds. You're probably familiar with a loofah. You can buy them in the store. They're not super duper cheap, but they're not super expensive either. People use them as kind of exfoliators in the shower, and then other people use them to wash dishes or to clean with. I'm gonna try those this year. I've heard really cool things about them, and I think even we could make like Christmas gifts out of them. But we'll see. It had excellent ratings on the Baker Creek website, so I'm definitely looking forward to trying those. Anyway, that's all we've got for you guys today. If you have any recommendations of things that we should be adding to our list, make sure you let us know in the comments section below. If you're trying anything else new this year, or if you have any staples that are your tried and true that you want to share with us, make sure you leave us a comment. We would love to hear about it. But in the meantime, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you around. Bye!